Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Jarvis here. You are with me on my IG. So, what's up, IG? How you guys doing this wonderful Thursday evening? My FB. So, what's up, Facebook? How are you doing? My YouTube. And not to mention Wisdom, the Wisdom app. And tonight we are able to join in another platform that is a part of the conversation. And that platform is none other than, drum roll, please, LinkedIn. So what's up, LinkedIn family? How you guys doing, man? I'm so happy to be able to have everybody on here tonight. For those of you who have been following along and have been with us, you know that we literally just wrapped up a series on emotions, emotional intelligence, mental health, mental wellness, mental stability, mental strength, mental toughness, whatever you want to call it. It was all about emotions. And we touched on everything from bad emotions to good emotions, how to handle ourselves in the workplace, how to handle ourselves in our lives, how to handle ourselves in relationship as well. And I'm so excited because out of that, I got so much great feedback. That it lets me know that yes, we did the right thing. It lets me know that yes, we had some great conversations. It lets me know that yes, we were able to reach and impact lives, and that is the goal, to reach and impact lives, not to leave people out here in the cold or give them a flush of information and expect them to walk away or run away with the right information. I am your host, none other than the one, the only Jarvis. Yes, that's right, Jarvis of Jarvis TV. And tonight is going to be a great conversation. So tonight's topic, if you have not seen it, if you cannot see it, if you did not take the chance to read it, tonight's topic is from minimum to maximum thinking and living. So we're going to go from minimum to maximum thinking and living. I want to encourage each and every one of you to get involved in the chats. I want to encourage each and every one of you to just share some love, show some love. I want to encourage you to let me know how we're doing out there. Feel free to ask any questions. As normal, you will see me looking around and trying to see like what I have going on, where I'm at in the mix, in the sauce. If you're over on LinkedIn, I hope that you are able to see. I can't technically see, my personal profile. So if I could see it and I could check it out, I would definitely check it out. But I will be kind of glancing back and forth, trying to see who's out there and what we got going on. So if you're over there on LinkedIn, definitely show some love, definitely share, definitely allow people to know that, hey, we are in this thing, and there is a live going on Jarvis Henderson's profile. Lord have mercy. That's a whole bunch. So tonight, to get us kicked off, I want to start by talking about a sociologist, a well-known sociologist. His name is Abraham Maslow. Okay. And the reason I want to talk about Abraham Maslow is because Abraham Maslow, he came up with this thing called the hierarchy of need. I've mentioned it a few times. If you've seen the diagrams, they look something like this. And for those of you who are over on my Wisdom app, I'm just making a diamond, or I'm sorry, not diamond, a triangle, a pyramid, so to speak, with my hands. And so with Abraham Maslow and his hierarchy of need, it was interesting because he actually took the time to study a certain people group, and that certain people group that he studied was the top one. He studied the healthiest 1% of college students in a college student population, the healthiest 1%, and that's where he came up with these things that are in his hierarchy of need. And if you are familiar with the hierarchy of need, then you know that the breakdown goes as such. At the bottom of the need, at the bottom, he uses a physiological need. He uses then the safety needs, and then our love and belonging needs, then esteem, and then self-actualization. And if you study on further down the line, you'll find that Abraham Maslow was able to actually come up, or I won't say come up, but he actually put other parts to this. So there's, once you get past self-actualization, then there's transcendence. And transcendence is doing things beyond yourself. Basically, your desire to serve, to see change, to be a part of change, to want to influence change. And these are things that happen in every single one of our lives. These are things that are going to take place in our day-to-day work life and our day-to-day relationships. And I want to highlight some of these things. So as I'm talking about this, I'm going to utilize the words that Abraham Maslow used, words such as physiological, safety, belongingness, love, esteem, self-actualization. And I'm going to use those to describe the human emotions that we go through. And I want you to know that everything that I'm talking about tonight is things, these are things that you can apply in every area of your life. And because I got started a little bit later than normal, we're still going to end at the regular time. So no need to worry, no need to fret. I'm not going to have you out here for too long, but I am going to give you a lot of great information, because what I want to see happen is I want to see you go from being a minimum thinker to being a maximum thinker. So let me break down those two terms right now. Minimum. What does it mean to be minimum? Minimum means that you do the bare least, the absolute bottom of what is possible to be done. I find that minimum, it describes average very well. It does. It describes average very well, because when people are average, they're just doing just enough to get by. How can you spot and how can you identify somebody who's doing the minimum? Well, the minimum is the person who is, if we're talking about in the workspace, they're the person who either they show up right on time or just a couple minutes late, but they're hardly ever early, right? They're the person that when a project needs to be done, they do the minimum amount of work to make sure the project is complete. They're not really giving you everything that they got, but they're giving you enough just so that they don't get fired. So basically, their work life experience is that of I'm doing just enough not to get fired. That's a minimum person. What are some other things that minimum people do in their day? Well, a minimum person, since I said it's very equivalent to average, that minimum individual is just going to get up and brush their teeth, because average people brush their teeth. They go ahead and they get up and they brush their teeth if they have the ability to. That person's going to get dressed. The average person gets dressed. That person's going to use the bathroom. The average person uses the bathroom. That person's going to eat. The average person is going to eat. Hopefully you're following along with what I'm saying here, because in minimum thinking, minimum is, again, just enough to get by. And that's in any arena of our lives. You know, it's unfortunate when you see someone who is parenting at a minimum level. It's also unfortunate when you see people who are in relationships that operate at a minimum level. I don't ever want to just be a part of the status quo. I'm the type of person, I like to try to be extraordinary. So extraordinary is the word that I'm looking for, but I always break it down phonetically and say extraordinary. Because if I'm extraordinary, then I'm exceeding my expectations. And I don't know, if I'm exceeding my expectations, then I'm definitely exceeding your expectations. So there's a lot of things that can be centered and wrapped around minimum. One thing that I definitely want to go back to in this minimum thing, minimum people, when it comes to communication, they have a tendency to throw things out and to leave it out there, hoping that the other person will either respond or not respond. That's a part of minimum thinking, right? Minimum thinking is that person who, let's say, like you have a project that you're working on, you're the one who's constantly reaching out to them to make sure that the project is getting done instead of them reaching back to you. Now, we do understand that there are some times and there are certain times in life, whether you're in a working relationship, whether you're in a romantic relationship, whether you're in a partnership, a business, whatever the case is, there are times where the person on the other end is really, really, really busy working on that very project that you're trying to work on, and they've kind of gotten their head down, and I call it the ostrich effect. Their head is down in the sand, but they're being productive. And then when you connect, you know that they're being productive because they now have answers for you and they can give you solutions and they're ready to move forward. And there's all these various things that can fall into place with that. Now, as a leader, let me break down what minimum is as a leader. So minimum as a leader is not having a high level of expectation for your team. Minimum as a leader is allowing your team just to get away with any and everything. Minimum as a leader is you not filtering down information to your team to be able to take your team to the next level. Minimum as a leader is you pointing the blame back at your team when things don't fall through the way that they should fall through. Minimum as a leader is you doing everything and expecting your team to just follow and know exactly what to happen. Minimum as a leader is improper communication, not conveying what it is that's on the canvas of your imagination or in your thought process or the vision that you have for something in a way that people understand it the best way that you know how to understand it. Now, that's minimum. So now that I've broken down minimum from a personal level and a professional level, let's go back and let's talk about maximum. Okay, let's talk about maximum. It almost sounds like a strong Greek name, Maximus, the gladiator, the man who went from being the general of an army to being a slave to being a gladiator to running and ruling Rome for like 5.2 seconds. If you've ever seen the movie Gladiator, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But basically, maximum is the absolute best that you have to offer. That's maximum. Giving it all that you got. That's maximum. When people say I'm giving 100%, I remember I wrote a paper in college and I said that I wanted to be able to give 120% of everything that I had. And my teacher wrote back to me, believe it or not, that that's not possible. Matter of fact, I got a B on a paper that should have been an A plus. I mean, she was nice enough to still give me a B, but she gave me the B, and it wasn't a B plus. It wasn't a B minus. It was just a B, and she gave me that doggone B just to let me know that you cannot give more than what you're physically capable of. Well, there's probably some truth to that, but I also know this terminology called thresholds. And I also know this, that once you cross a threshold, now that is your new normal. And then you can cross that threshold again, and that becomes your new normal. If we all carried the thought that we could not go 120%, that we couldn't go 110%, that we couldn't go past 100% of the effort that we give out on a day-to-day basis, then we would only do what was average. We would do enough to get by. Giving 100% of what you got is it gets you by. Yeah, it might kind of push the needle just a little bit, but you'll never experience full growth giving 100% into a project. You have to actually, to experience the growth. Let's talk about it from working out. Let me take it from that perspective. I remember there was a season in my life where I was like, whenever I go to the gym, I'm lifting weights and everything, and as I'm working out, I would lift the exact same amount of weight every single day, exact same amount of weight. I would do the exact same amount of reps. I would start off and do 15, and then drop down to 12, and then drop down to 10, and then I would do 8, and then I would do 4. And then I would go back and I would do it one more time. 15, 12, 10, 8, 4. I would do this workout, and yes, I was starting to get the shape that I wanted, but the problem was I was not getting any stronger. Now, it's not to say that I wasn't giving 100% of my effort, because I was giving 100% of my effort for where I was at. And that's what I'm talking about when I say, if we go with the thought process that 100% is all that we can give, then it's the equivalent to setting a goal that is like right here, hitting that goal and going no further. And that's unfortunate, because there's so many of us that are out here in this world that's what we do on a day-to-day basis. And if that is you, unfortunately, from what I'm talking about, you're falling into the average thinking. You're falling into being the minimum thinker. Matter of fact, I won't even put you in the platform of the minimum thinker. You're just, when I say from minimum to maximum, you're in the 2 category. So if that's you in the workspace, and you're trying to figure out why you haven't gotten a promotion, but you are there on time every single day and you're getting your job done, it's because you haven't pushed yourself up far enough to get past that threshold. As a maximum thinker, remember I told you what the minimum was. Maximum thinkers are going to be early. Matter of fact, if they're on time, they feel like they're late. Maximum thinkers are going to be prepared. They're not going to procrastinate. They're not going to wait until the last minute. However, sometimes a maximum thinker will have so much going on that they'll have to prioritize it's priority management. It's not time management, because we all have the same amount of time in every single day, but they prioritize those priorities. They put those priorities in order, they put them in place. And then once they put them in place, they go from one to the next to the next. Now, a maximum thinker is not going to stop until they finish. So that can give the impression that in some things that they may have procrastinated, and that's not the case. What happens with the maximum thinkers, they didn't necessarily procrastinate. What they did is they just put their priorities in that management stack in the wrong order, and that's okay. It happens from time to time. We learn from it, and then we keep moving and we go to the next level. Maximum thinkers, they have the ability to be level 5 leaders. Now, if you know the 5 levels of leadership, then you know what I'm talking about when I say a level 5 leader. Maximum thinkers have the ability to take not just them, but their families to the next level. Maximum thinkers have the ability, when they're in a disagreement with their loved ones, when they're in disagreement with their spouse, when they're in disagreement with their children, when they're in disagreement with their family members, they have the ability to think through the process, to sit, to receive, and not to rebuttal, and understand where the other person is coming from, to be able to find solutions and resolution. This is what maximum thinkers do. Maximum thinkers have this dog on the inside of them that just does not quit. They keep pressing forward. Now, this is something that does happen to maximum thinkers. They do experience burnout, because maximum thinkers are on the go. They're go, 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 go. But when they experience burnout, they know to slow down. They know to shut down for a moment and then come back. Maximum thinkers will take the time to read. They will take the time to study. They will take the time to discover. They will take the time to assess themselves and start taking some self-care so that they can then take better care of other people. Maximum thinkers help the world go round. When you think of the Pareto theory, the 80-20 theory, then maximum thinkers are the 20% of the people that get 80% of the work done. Your minimum thinkers are those ones that are in the 80%. Hence, it's such a big category, the 80%. All right. So now that I've broken down minimum and maximum thinking, I want to go ahead and I want to move forward because I want you to understand how you can walk and think and talk as a maximum thinker, how you can take your life to the next level as a maximum thinker. All right. If you are a minimum thinker, you're going to identify that you're a minimum thinker tonight in this conversation. And you're going to say, dang, I'm a minimum thinker. I thought I was living at a maximum level, but I'm really living at about a 2 level, right? Remember what I said. If you're not at the minimum level, then you're 2. So it's minimum to maximum. 2 is that small little piece in the middle, that real small little piece in the middle. I should have wrote it down so that you guys can say it. Matter of fact, I am going to write it down so that you can see it. And for my people that are over on the Wisdom app, what I am doing right now is I am taking a piece of paper and I am writing on it right now, minimum with an arrow to. So I put a line for the minimum, a line for the 2, and then above the line, I'm writing maximum, okay? And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to show everybody what that looks like. So if you can see my piece of paper, let me raise it high enough so that everybody can see it. Boom, you see that. So you have those minimum thinkers. Those are the people that are showing up late. Those are people that, you know, they're never on time. They're procrastinating on everything. They're just kind of going around doing the average thing. And then you have 2. Those are the people who are giving 100%, but they really haven't pushed themselves past this threshold right here. And I'm pointing out a line that I drew above the arrow and the 2 for those people that are on the Wisdom app. And then you have those maximum thinkers, and those maximum thinkers are all those people who are pushing themselves past the threshold and getting up above the line. As a matter of fact, a great example of minimum to maximum thinking. Minimum thinking will never run faster than the 4-minute mile. Never run faster than a 4-minute mile. It was thought that that was the case, that no one would ever run faster than the 4-minute mile. And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I think his name was Neil Bannister. He ended up breaking the 4-minute mile. How did he break the 4-minute mile? Well, it's obvious to me how he broke the 4-minute mile. He could have went with minimum thinking, and that minimum thinking was that we'll never break the 4-minute mile. So he would have been satisfied with running a 5-minute mile. He would have been satisfied with running a 4-minute and 30-second mile. He would have been satisfied with 4 minutes and 1 second. However, because he's a maximum thinker, he kept pushing himself mentally past a threshold. And he kept thinking to himself, man, I wonder what it would be like to run a 5-minute mile. So he kept pushing. He hit the 5-minute mile. He's like, okay, I hit 5 minutes. I wonder what it will be like if I hit 4:59. So he starts running and he hits 4:30. So then he starts thinking like, oh my God, I hit 4:30. I must be able to hit 4 minutes. And then he breaks the 4-minute mile. What did we just experience in that analogy? We experienced the thought process of a maximum thinker who continued to push himself past the threshold. That same thing goes with every single thing that we do. But in order to understand how to think like a maximum thinker, then what I have to do at this very moment with each and every one of you is discuss at a different level and help you guys understand what it means and where you land as a minimum thinker on on our nice little Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of need, and where you need to be in order to absolutely capture this maximum thinking. So give me just a quick second here as I readjust myself. Allow me to readjust myself. My name is Jet. Sorry, guys, I got excited, man. It doesn't take a lot to get me singing, y'all. I just gotta let you know, it doesn't take a lot to get me singing. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going over here and I'm just making sure that our Facebook family is able to give us some comments and everything. And I want you guys to definitely, as you see fit, go ahead and put your comments in the comment section. Go ahead and start to chime in on some of this stuff, because I really want to see you guys get to the next level. I'm taking you guys intentionally from being minimum thinkers and livers to being maximum thinkers and livers. And No, I'm not talking about liver as in what you eat. I'm talking about how you live your life. I am a person who strongly believes and I have a strong ambition to want to see the people around me succeed. And so when it came to doing this 90-day challenge, it took maximum thinking for me to sit down and say, I'm doing this 90-day challenge, not just to say I'm doing it, but to do it. We have not missed one day. Have there been things that have come up that could have easily distracted me and taken me away from what I wanted to do? Yes, there have, but it has not stopped me. It has not put the brakes on what we're doing. So now let's go into this Abraham Maslow hierarchy of need. I'm going to break down the terms for you really quick. And after I break down the terms for you, then I'm going to tell you what each of them consists of. Okay. So our physiological needs, remember I said earlier that that's at the bottom of this pyramid that Abraham Maslow came up with. Our physiological needs are they're the most obvious needs. They are literally the requirements for us as human beings to survive. That's what those needs are. If these needs are met, then our human body functions correctly. But if they're not met, the human body does not function correctly. And you're probably thinking, well, what are those basic needs that we need? Well, simple: air, water, food, our metabolic requirements, anything that goes with our digestive system, anything that has to do with the day-to-day survival. All right, clothing, shelter. Let's see, our instincts, like everything that goes into us living a day-to-day life and just being here on the face of this earth. Now, the next level of needs that we have is we have safety and security. Okay. And that's what is our safety and security? Well, you have our personal security, you have your financial security, you have your health and well-being. All right. So once you have your basic needs taken care of, then you can move forward. And this is what we do subconsciously. We move forward into the next level, which is our safety and concern. And so that's your financial security, your personal security, your health and well-being, your safety against accidents, illnesses, and the adverse impacts of all these different illnesses and things that'll come along. And that is important. Okay. We experience what happens when we don't feel safe and secure when it comes to our personal well-being, our health and wellness with COVID-19. COVID-19 hit, boom, and everything started to shut down. And then once everything started to shut down, then people started realizing like we don't know what's happening. People got scared, and it became that we needed to shelter in place. Some of us were isolated by ourselves in places by ourselves. Others were isolated with family members, and you didn't know how to function and operate with these family members because on a regular basis, you didn't spend more than 4 hours with them, not realizing that you don't on an average, don't spend more than 4 hours with your family, but you were forced into these environments. So when that happened, it disrupted the flow of what Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs said, because we went from safety and we dropped right back down to our physical needs, and we didn't know how to operate now that we were in a place of being able and needing to function and handle our physical needs. This affected families, it affected workplaces, it affected organizations, it affected teams, it affected everybody. The only people who didn't seem to be affected by this were animals and trees and birds. Well, birds are animals, and the grass. As a matter of fact, it was the cleanest that the air has been in the world in over 2,000 years. Crazy, right? Crazy. Interesting and crazy. That was just an interesting point I wanted to throw out there. But in this time frame, we as human beings had to tap into other ways to be able to communicate with each other. So there were some maximum thinkers out there that said, yo, we got social media. Hey, we got Zoom. Hey, we got Google Video. Hey, we have Duo. Hey, we have WhatsApp. And people started to communicate virtually. So our virtual space became much broader. We began to live in a virtual world. And that was because there were maximum thinkers that were out there that said, this is what we can do. The minimum thinkers were like, oh my God, it's over. And they shut themselves down. But then you had those people who were in the 2 category that were just kind of going with the flow, and they stayed comfortable in that 2 category. Okay. So now let me go ahead and go on and tell you more like the next level. So the next level is love and belonging. Now this love and belonging stage is very, very, very important. And I'm going to tell you why after I talk about the love and belonging. So your love and belonging. So as human beings, we need to feel a sense of belonging and acceptance. Every single one of us, we need to feel a sense of belonging and acceptance. Okay. The need to love and be loved, not just by ourselves, but also by others. In the absence of these elements, most people become susceptible to loneliness, social anxiety, and some people experience this during COVID, and clinical depression. And that is why mental health, mental awareness, mental illness is so big now, right? That's why we're dealing with these things on a day-to-day basis. This need for belonging can often overcome the physiological and security needs depending on the strength of the peer pressure. All right. Now, the next level up is esteem. And remember, I said love and belonging is very important and very essential. And I need you to stick with me so that I can tell you why it's very important and why it's very essential. Okay. I need you to stick with me so that I can tell you why it's very important and why it's very essential, the love and belonging piece. But esteem. So, esteem, all humans have a need to be respected and to have self esteem and self respect. Esteem presents the normal human desire to be accepted and valued by others. People need to engage themselves to people need to engage themselves to gain recognition and have activity or activities that give the person a sense of contribution, to feel self-valued, be it your profession or your hobby. You want to be involved with something. Imbalances at this level, the level of esteem, can result in low self-esteem or an inferiority complex. And there's a lot of people who run around with this as well. People with low self-esteem need respect from others. They may seek fame or glory, which again depends on others. Note, however, that many people with low self-esteem will not be able to improve their view of themselves simply by receiving fame, respect, and glory externally. Hence, this is why when you see people that are in social media influencers, they have more likely than not some of the highest rates of suicide and mental issues. I looked this up, y'all, and that's why I wanted to read this to you. All right. Okay. Esteem can also affect an individual in their work performance, in their family life, and in their personal life. Esteem can cause imbalances and create things such as depression. It can also prevent you from obtaining self-esteem on all levels. Man, that's pretty deep. Now, self-actualization, and this is where you want to get to, but you can't get to this level, right, without one key level being achieved. As a matter of fact, when I'm starting to get ahead of myself a little bit, but I want to slow myself down. So I'm going to read to you what self-actualization is, okay? Self-actualization, what a man can be, he must be. All right. This forms the basis of the perceived need for self-actualization. This level of need pertains to what a person's full potential is and realizing what that potential is. Maslow described this desire as the desire to become more and more than what one is, to become everything that one is capable of becoming. This is a broad definition for the need for self-actualization, but when applied to individuals, the need is very specific. For example, one individual may have a strong desire to become the perfect parent, but in another, it may be expressed in their athletics, but in another, it may be expressed in painting and music, and in another, it may be expressed in science. As mentioned before, in order to reach a clear understanding of this level of need, one must first not only achieve the previous needs, physiological safety, love, and esteem, but master these needs. Now, I wanted to bring that up because I want to go back and I want to talk about, remember I kept saying love and belonging. This is probably one of the most important needs that you're going to need, love and belonging. So in love and belonging, Abraham Maslow said that unless a person accomplishes the level of love and belonging, they will never realize their full potential. That's what he said. Even if you don't get the esteem, you will never accomplish the goals that you want in life if you don't reach that level of love and belonging. So what falls into love and belonging? Friendship, family, and intimacy. That's what falls in love and belonging. What falls into your esteem? Self-esteem, confidence, achievement, respect of others, and respect by others. And then self-actualization is your morality, your creativity, your spontaneity, your problem-solving skills, your lack of prejudice where others are concerned, your acceptance of the fact, your acceptance of other people. So when I'm talking about going from minimum to maximum thinking and living, I had to give you Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of need, because if I didn't give you the hierarchy of need, then you wouldn't be able to identify what level you're at. How do you identify on that hierarchy of need where you are? Now, let me slow down and back up and say this. Love and belonging, it goes universally through every single facet of our life. Every single facet of our life. You notice love and belonging is friendship, love and belonging is family. And you're probably thinking, well, what do you mean every single facet of your life? Well, there are two types of ways that you're going to create the right environment in work. There's two types of ways that you're going to create the right environment. Well, I don't want to just limit it to two types of ways, because then you're going to feel that can leave the impression that there's not any other way. There are two ways that I want to highlight that will create the right environment at work. And there's two ways that I want to highlight that are going to create the right environment in your family. There's also two ways that I want to highlight that are going to create the right vibe, or the right emotions, the right environment, the culture, so to speak, in your relationships. Now, the two ways that I'm thinking of. The first way is you create a team. You turn whatever it is into a team. And the reason why I say you turn it into a team is because if you can turn the people who report to you into your team, if you can refer to them as, hey, this is my team, as opposed to these are my employees, it does something in their mental space where it switches a light to say, I'm a part of something. If you just say, hey, these are my employees, well, now they feel like they're inferior to you, and it turns that knob to say, okay, whatever. I get paid just like you get paid. I put my pants on just like you put your pants on. I sleep just like you sleep, right? This is what happens subconsciously in a person's mind. Now, in the workspace, if you say, hey, this is my team, or you greet them, hey, team, how you guys doing today? When you start doing that, that then turns that switch. The knob is turning, because they're like, yo, I'm a part of this. I'm a part of something. You see how I just kind of rose up in my chair, how I sat up and my chest poked out? That's how the people who are reporting to you will start to raise themselves up. It subconsciously, and you're going to start to see it through their actions when you refer to them as the team. As a team, we rise and fall together. As employees, it's always somebody else's fault. Or instead of saying our department, hey, okay, in our department, we are one big team. Saying these types of things creates the environment that you need. Now, the other way in the workspace that you're going to create the right type of a culture is you say, hey, listen, team, you are my family. When you say words like this, you are my family, subconsciously, not only is this knob turning, but there's a light switch over, like, and now you tap into the heartstrings of the individual, because when we hear the word family, our innate response is to say, I care for you. When you hear the word family, the innate reaction internally is they care for me. And now you have people who are working at a level, and you guys have heard me say this over the past few days about talking about companionate love, that type of a culture inside of the workspace, that type of a culture inside of your family. Now you have people who are operating together. They may disagree from time to time, but they're not going to run away from each other. They're not going to destroy each other. They're not going to tear each other down. They're going to build each other up. And that's what this is all about. That's, the love and belonging piece is that essential, that it creates that type of environment. It'll take you to the next level, your team to the next level. You'll see better production in the workplace. You'll see extremely better production in your homes. You'll see better conversations. Yes, you're going to have tough conversations in your relationships. All of these things start to function together. Now, I said there were two ways. So in the workplace, it was family or team. That's what you say in the workplace. Now, let's go to the house. Let's go to the home. Let's go to talking about the family dynamic. In the family dynamic, I want to highlight the same two things. You refer to your family as your team. Hey, this is like my family would be Team Henderson. Yo, we are Team Henderson all day long. Those are terms, not just of endearment, but it's a term of support. And if your family, instead of just saying you're my child, say, hey, we're a team. Hey, as a family, we're a team. Like, there are certain times that you're going to need to use different dialogue. Now, if you're disciplining your child, you let them know you're my child, and this is why I'm handling this the way that I'm handling it. Because in their mind, it goes ahead and it puts them in the slot at hierarchical, you know what I'm trying to say, in the hierarchy of the family. It puts them in their position to say, hey, okay, mom speaking, dad speaking. Okay, let me submit and pay attention to what's going on. Where when you're trying to drive your family forward, hey, listen, I see your grades, and your grades are not necessarily the way, you tell me, are you happy with your grades? and they know I'm not happy with my grades. Listen, you are on Team Henderson, and Team Henderson is full of nothing but intelligent and wonderful and handsome and beautiful people. And I know that you have it on the inside of you to take this to the next level. Do you guys see what I'm saying in this conversation? Like that conversation, if I'm having that conversation with my child, it takes my child to a different level, as opposed to saying, I look at your grades. So are you just stupid now? Oh, that's what we do. That's not what we do in this house. Okay, that latter conversation, as much as we want it to be something that's gonna motivate them and push them forward, it may push them a little bit, but is it pushing them forward or is it pushing them away? Now, that's the team approach to your family. All right. Now, the family approach is going to always be a part of the family dynamic because it's your family. When, hey, listen, you're more than just a part of Team Henderson. You are my bloodline. You are my heart outside of my. I love you. See the approach, right? These are things that cause lights and things to switch and turn and trigger, and it ignites what's called the love and belonging portion of our hierarchy of needs. We have our physiological needs taken care of because there's a roof over our head, there's clothes on our back, and you may be thinking like, well, what do my physiological needs have to do in the workspace? And what do the physiological needs have to do in my relationship? It has everything to do with it. Physiological needs in the workspace. You're not going to feel comfortable going into a workspace that doesn't have running water. You're not going to feel comfortable going into a workspace where they don't tend to have, the bathroom facilities aren't working. You can't take a lunch break. You're not going to stay there long, right? You out of there. Why do you think that remote positions are so successful now? Because people's physiological needs are being taken care of on a personal level, and they can be in their home spaces, and now they operate and function a lot clearer and a lot smoother. Now, there's some downsides to it, but I don't want to get into that right now. I want to focus on the high parts of this, all right? Now, you're probably thinking, well, what do these physiological needs have to do with my relationships? Well, shoot, man, if you don't have your basic needs taken care of, how are you going to focus on the man or the woman that you're in love with? A lot of times, like more than half of the divorces that happen out there are based off of financial issues. Those financial issues include your physical or your physiological needs. Food on the table, lights being on, a roof over your head, a vehicle to get you around. All of these things are included in those conversations. If the bank accounts are negative and bill collectors are calling us and the lights are off, my frustration levels are high, and I'm trying to figure this out. You talking about you want me? See how that it creates a problem. It creates an issue. It's a physiological need. The safety needs, your safety, like, are you secure? Like safety needs, that's physiological, and the safety. All of these things work together, but that love and belonging is really where all of purpose hinges. That's my opinion, but I'm gonna leave it out there like it's like just strict Bible. I'm telling you, love and belonging is really where I find that purpose hinges. I have a good friend of mine, Dr. Joe Johnson. He wrote a book called Pursue Your Purpose, Not Your Dreams. And the reason why he's saying pursue your purpose and not your dreams, and I had a conversation with him on this, and I said, well, the reason why I wouldn't pursue my purpose, or why I would pursue my purpose and not my dreams, is because my dreams change with each level. If I had a dream car, once I get my dream car, well, now I've got my dream car, I got to find another car to dream about to get. I'm not just going to be satisfied with reaching the dream. Right? Nobody's ever satisfied with just, dream accomplished. Yay, let's stay here forever. No. Bliss is only bliss until you experience it. And then once you experience it, you got to find something else to carry your bliss. That's why people get addicted to drugs. That's why people get addicted to drinking. That's why people, get addicted to various things, because once they experience the high, they have to break the threshold again to get to the next high. That's why you have competitors who are addicted to the competition and success of the competition that they will push themselves to go to the next level. That's why you have people in the workplace who know how to show up and work like they're already at the next level. All right. And that is what maximum thinkers do. Now, the reason why I wanted to go through and I wanted to explain the different parts of Maslow's hierarchy of need is because I wanted to get to the love and belonging piece. Because in order for you to go from, and let me hold this up for you again, in order for you to go from minimum to maximum, then you have to change the way that you think. Minimum thinkers, this is where you are right here. Those are the people who are doing just enough to get by. The lazy people who say, I'm going to go to the gym, and you don't ever get your butt up and go to the gym. The lazy people who say, I'm going to eat right, but you don't ever get yourself eating right. The people who say, I'm going to do this training for my team, and you don't do the training for your team. The people who say, I'm going to call everybody on my team, and you don't call everybody on your team. The people who say, we're going to do this, and you don't do it. Basically, you don't keep your word, right? That's the minimum thinkers. The minimum thinkers are the ones that are just being average. They're the people they're the bosses who are just bosses. They're not leaders. They're the leaders who are literally just out here taking a walk by themselves, walking alone, because they're dictators and they're diminishers. They're not multiplying the employees that they work with. A maximum thinker who is in a leadership position is always trying to put somebody above themselves. I'll use myself as an example. When I was working for Hertz, one thing about me with my teams is I knew that there was no success without my team, not any success. I also knew that if there was something that didn't happen the way that I expected it to happen, it was not their fault. It was a communication drop. And that communication drop was on my part because I am the leader and I was the one who should have asked the question. And this is for somebody who's out there. So when this leadership is on, I'm hitting all leaders at once right now. So if you're a parent, you're a leader. If you are, if you're over an organization, you're a leader. If there are any group of people that are following you, you are a leader. And when you have things that you put out there and you set out in place and you didn't communicate properly, you know that you didn't communicate properly because things don't fall into place the way that you thought they were supposed to fall into place. As a leader, when I had my team, let me go back to the beginning. When I was at the branch level, I had my team. I knew that if I said, hey, today this is what I want us to do, boom, 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 yada, yada, I give them the rundown. I give them the task of the day. I come back and none of it's accomplished. Well, I knew that there were just a few reasons why something wouldn't get accomplished. Either they physically can't do it, they just don't want to do it, or they don't know how to do it. And 9 times out of 10, it was because they did not know how to do it. And the reason they did not know how to do it is because in my communication, I said something with the perception in my mind that they understood what I was saying. They received something and created a perception in their mind on what needed to be done. And then they went out and they accomplished or operated based off of what the vision was that was on their mind that you painted for them. So when I saw things that went wrong, I would say, hey, so I know earlier I asked you to make sure that this and this and this got done. Tell me why you did it like this. And they would say, hey, well, you said do boom, 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 boom. And I'm listening to them like, dang, I did not clarify that I didn't want them to just get the papers and print them off. I wanted them to print the papers off and separate them and file them away, right? I didn't say all that. I saw it on the canvas of my imagination. And that happens very often with leaders. We say things and there's so many different things that happen on the canvas of our imagination as we're saying it. And we take it as if the person that we're talking to is receiving it the same way that we're saying it. This goes into relationships. And when you're in relationships and you're communicating with each other, when you're communicating with each other, that communication is you're saying something and you see it one way in your mind and they're receiving it another way in their mind, but there's never the in-between conversation to ask and say, hey, so I know I just said this. What does that mean to you? Right? I love to be in conversations where somebody says, hey, I know I said this, but what does that mean to you? And then I can tell them what it means to me or how I see it. And they're like, if I'm right, and they're like, oh, exactly. If I'm not there, like, no, I don't think you understood what I was saying. Like that. And I've had those conversations before. Okay. And so I encourage every single one of you as parents, you can say, hey, this is what I need you to get done today. I need you to make sure that you clean the kitchen. I need you to make sure that you clean your room. And I need you to make sure that you clean the living room. Well, you come back home and you're like, why isn't the kitchen clean? Like, it is clean, but you still see bags of chips on the counter. You still see fruit in the corner. You still see dishes in the in the sink. However, the floor is mopped. The counters are wiped down. The stove is clean. The food that was on the counter is put away. Well, in their mind, they cleaned. But the reality is, in your mind, it's not clean because those few things that I mentioned. So it just comes down to, well, why didn't you put the fruit where it goes? And why didn't you do this? Unless you have had that conversation with your child before, say, hey, when you clean the kitchen, I need you to make sure that the counters are completely cleared off. That means the fruit has got to be put away. No dishes in the sink. You see what I'm saying? Like, you go back and you break it down. You go back and you disseminate that information once again. So like I said, as maximum thinkers, a maximum thinker is going to take the opportunity to have a clear and concise conversation. And that clear and concise conversation, it just simply has follow-up to it to say, hey, so when I said this, I just told you that. So you say it back to me and tell me what you take from it so I know that we're on the same page. And it's okay to do that. Okay. And so I want you guys, and this is how we flip that switch. Stop being the minimum thinker. Okay. The minimum thinker is the person who's just doing just enough to get by. Now, remember I said between these two lines where I have two written, that's where people are, they're giving just 100%. And I'm saying like they show up on time every day. They're getting all their work done. But these are the people right here who don't experience promotion. They're the people who don't experience advancement. They're the people who don't experience increase in their finances. They're the people who their relationships are kind of like, okay, yeah, we're happy. They're more content than really enjoying a relationship. These are the people right here where they're doing just above enough to get by. They're doing more than enough to survive. Okay. You got to get out of this space. You got to stop being the person who's setting the easy goals. You got to stop being the person who's doing, you talk about, I'm going to go work out, and you go walk on the treadmill for 30 minutes every day, but you don't push yourself past the speed of 3.5. You're going to see some results, but once your body gets used to that thing, you're not going to see any results. Okay. This is the person that when you say you're going to eat healthy, you change your eating habits, but you don't do any exercise. No walking, no riding a bike, no nothing. You're eating good, but your body is still lacking in that activity that you need in your body. These are the people who are in relationships and they say, oh, I'm going to love my spouse. And you love your spouse the way that you've always loved your spouse, but you're not learning how to love your spouse the way that they want to be loved, because they're going to change just like you change. They're going to get older just like you get older. Some of the things that they liked yesterday, they're not going to like tomorrow, and that's okay. But you don't take the time to figure that out, so you stay right here. And the dangerous thing about being in the middle of minimum to maximum is that if you stay here and you never receive the promotion, you don't take your relationships forward, you don't get yourself healthier, various things, throw anything in here. You don't become a better parent, then you fall eventually back down into the minimum thinking, because what happens as we go through life, things advance, everything moves up. This whole chart starts to move up. Where minimum used to be, we couldn't run faster than a 4-minute mile. Now people are running like sub 4 in the threes. They're taking it to the next level. Now, the maximum thinker right here, and this is where I'm about to wrap it up at, that's the person, and this is how you got to do it, you guys. If you are in your job and you're looking at this and you're saying, hey, I'm gonna get promoted this year. If you're going to experience a promotion this year, then you need to show up like you're already in the position that you want to be promoted to every single day. That doesn't mean that you treat people like you're in that position, because you're stepping out of line. But in your mind, you need to show up like you're already in that position. I used to tell my teams, I used to tell people that I coach, I tell people that I coach now, if they're in a job, a work environment, do not wait for the position to open up to start your interview process. You interview every single day that you come in. Write down what position you think that you want to be in, and you work every day like there's somebody watching you to see if you're going to be able to get into that next position. Let's say if you're a director and you want to be the senior director, or if you're the senior director and you want to be the VP, well, what does your VP do on a day-to-day basis that you're not doing? They're in the position, but what do they do on a day-to-day basis that you're not doing? How do they think? I've always tried to train my teams to think how I think and then past how I think, because I'm trying to think past how I think. When I was at just like a senior management level, I started thinking at an executive management level. I started listening to the execs. I started sitting around them more often, paying attention when I was doing their coaching, their leadership, and their development, so that I could take those things in. The same thing applies, maximum thinkers, to how you want to be a better parent. You want to be a better parent? It's okay to pick up a book and read about how you cover your children, how you build your children, how you develop your children. It's okay to go through and read articles on how to help accelerate your child's career. It's okay to read these things. How do I love my child better? These are all things that are okay. When it comes to relationships, come on, maximum thinker. It's okay to ask questions. Hey, so what are some things that you like that I have not done that you would like for me to do? What are things that I do that you don't like that you want me to stop doing? It's okay to have these conversations and receive the information. It's okay, because if you're going from minimum to maximum thinking, once you get that switch, you're going to go from minimum to maximum living. Minimum to maximum thinking includes this. You stop thinking about the things that didn't work and you start thinking about the things that you're going to do. All right? If you live in the things that didn't work, then you're going to live there and you're just going to process those things and they're going to drag you down. But if you get past the things that didn't work and you go to the things that you're thinking of doing, like even today I had a situation, I got an email that popped up and it was like, dang, oh my gosh. Like it was one of those like, ugh, in the gut. And when it hit me in my gut, I stopped and I was like, I can sit here and think about how this email made me feel, or I can go ahead and I can send these other emails and take this stuff to the next level. And what did I do? I sent the other emails and took things to the next level. Actually, I went further than that and got on the phone with a few people today and had some great conversations and took that stuff to the next level. Matter of fact, even better than that, I took the opportunity to serve people in my community by helping them with things that they needed to have done and not wasting any time getting it done, because those were things that were taking me to the next level. What did I do? I went from just being in the middle of the two to saying, no, I'm a maximum thinker. Look, what do we do now? Let's go do this. Let's go do that. Let's go do this. Another situation, I got a message about something that I've been waiting to hear about, and it wasn't necessarily the answer that I wanted to hear. However, I didn't stay in that. I moved forward. And that's what we have to do if you're looking to go from minimum to maximum thinking. Minimum thinking, you will stay in the same place. You will sit in this rut and you will just be like, woe is me. The world is tough. No, it's not. It's not. It ain't that tough. You know how I know it ain't that tough? Because you're much tougher. You're much tougher because you've survived 100% of your worst days. 100%. So quit waiting on someday. You see my sign back there. Someday is never going to come. If you are a leader in a corporate space, your team is waiting on you to give them permission to succeed. They're also waiting on you to give them permission to fail, and that's okay. Parents, your children are waiting for you to give them permission to both succeed and fail. These are maximum thinking principles. These are things that you can do that'll take your children to the next level. As maximum thinkers, you're going to write stuff down, and then you're going to hold yourself accountable to it, or find somebody to hold you accountable to it. As maximum thinkers, you're going to look for the win. And even if you don't get the big win, you're going to celebrate the things that you did get in that day. Whether it's with your spouse, whether it's with your family, whether it's with your friends, whether it's with your work, all these things are going to go to the next level. So I'm challenging you to stop being average. I'm challenging you to stop being a minimum thinker. I'm challenging you to get away from that goal that says, oh, I'm going to lose 5 pounds by the end of the year. I celebrate you losing 5 pounds by the end of the year. But if you are 100 pounds overweight, then maybe you should set your goal to hit 50 pounds by the end of the year, because that's a big jump. And I guarantee you, when you hit 20 pounds, you're going to get excited, just like Roger Bannister did. Roger Bannister. I said Neil Bannister earlier. Just like Roger Bannister did. And he got excited when he hit the 5-minute mile. Then he hit the 4:30 mile. Once you know that you can do it, you don't know what you can't do until you really try, and it just can't be done. Just like you don't know what you can do until you do it. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I can do this. Maximum thinkers are always going to look for what they can do. So stop focusing on the things that can't get done and start looking at the things that are going to get done. Don't even say I can do it. Say it's going to get done. Challenge yourself to push yourself to the next level. If you're trying to assist your leader, then you figure out how to help lead your leader without leading the leader. You know, if you're trying to go for promotion, then you show up every single day like you're interviewing for the position that you're looking for. If you're trying to get merit raises, you don't get merit raises by coming in and getting the bare minimum done. If you're trying to get great grades and you're a college student, or you're a parent, or you're a student who's reporting to your parents, then you come in every single day and you give it everything that you got. If you're trying to excel your career, what are you going to do more tomorrow that you didn't do today? That's the question that I have for you. Because once you acknowledge those things and once you identify those things, you now have the ability to start moving and operating as a maximum thinker. You now have the ability to start moving and living as a maximum thinker. So that's from minimum to maximum living. If you can get your thinking, your mindset to that next level, guess what? Everything else is going to flow with you. It is, y'all. It is. Oh my goodness. There's so much that I want to say. But hey, that is what I have for you tonight. I hope that this was great for you. I hope that you can, if you didn't pull something from it, go back and watch this again. I guarantee you that you're going to be able to pull something from it that you can say, hey, no, I need to take myself from minimum to maximum thinking. I need to quit being lazy and laying around on the couch all day playing video games. I need to start walking around my neighborhood at least twice a day. I need to stop eating McDonald's and Wendy's all the time, and I need to start eating healthy. I need to start eating healthy, right? That's what you got. That's what you got to do with yourself. I need to cut bread out of my diet. I need to cut sugar out of my diet. I need to take my vitamin. Like, Don't just say you need to do it, but do it. You know what I'm saying? And I know I'm hitting on the health piece, so I don't know who that's for, but whoever it's for, even in the workspace, if you are just doing enough, if your KPI tells you that you need to hit 4, then you hit 6. I always, and why do you think that businesses do this whole thing where they want to show an increase of 20%? I can't think of one company that I ever worked for that we didn't come into the year saying, hey, we want to show a turnaround of 20%. I can't think of one company that I've ever consulted with where they haven't said that they want to see some sort of an increase, and 20% seems to be like the magic number. But it's because that's them thinking on a maximum level. Guess what? Even if all they do is they increase by 10%, they've accomplished the goal because they did better than just having a wash from one year to the next. Just something to throw out there. But hey, this is your boy Jarvis. I have absolutely enjoyed being on here with you tonight. If this is something that you found beneficial, hey, you know that I'm here. I am your empowerment specialist. I'm your empowerment coach. I'm your life coach, whatever, I'm your leadership development individual. And I don't have any of my Go Do Something gear on tonight, but normally I have Go Do Something gear on. And I want to encourage you that if any of this has been beneficial to you, if any of this has been something that you're like, yo, I need more of this, go ahead and go to jarvishenderson.com. And at jarvishenderson.com, I want you to go ahead and purchase yourself anything from the Go Do Something the store. Just go purchase yourself anything. And the reason why I say go purchase yourself anything is because every single purchase that is made out of the Go Do Something platform, it helps me to fund these things. It helps me to be able to set up impact rallies. It helps me to be able to set up, outreach events. It helps me to be able to connect and network with the right people. So that's a great way for you to be able to support me. All right. Hey, this is your boy Jarvis. I absolutely love you. IG, deuces. Facebook, deuces. YouTube, deuces. Hey, LinkedIn, deuces. And my Wisdom, Wisdom app. I love y'all. And I'll talk to you guys later. You guys have a great night. And we'll see you tomorrow evening.